Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BikeSocial. I'm Michael Mann, and you join me and my two mates here at a place called Blyton Park. This is the R6. It's no longer available as a new bike to buy because it doesn't conform with Euro 5 emission regulations. So you can't buy it as a road bike in the UK. You can buy it as a track bike, and there's all the different parts available to it as well. Trouble is, it's over £12,000. Does it have a replacement? Well, it's fairly obvious as this one right here, but it's not like for like in any way. Despite looking very similar, in the same blue with the same Yamaha badge, it's still got sporty credentials, still aerodynamic, it's still a super sport, but actually the bikes are very, very different. The R7 is new for 2022 and it's only £8,200. It's nearly £4,000 worth of difference between the two bikes. What it does do is it uses the same engine that comes straight out the ever so popular MT-07. It's the 689cc CP2 engine, which is a twin cylinder. Makes about 72 brake horsepower, and of course the R6 4-cylinder makes about 115 brake horsepower. Big difference. So when Yamaha bought out the R7, everyone said, well, hang on a minute, why have you given it less power and two less cylinders? Well, the super sport class, it's no surprise that over the last 20 years or so it's declined massively in sales. So Yamaha have kind of changed the game around a little bit. They're recreating the super sport class. They've built this for three reasons. One, to try and encourage more people into the super sport class, or the new version of that class. New riders, younger riders. They've built it to bridge the gap between the R3 and the R1. Big difference between those two, so that fills that gap. And the third reason, to go racing. With the revised rules of the Isle of Man TT Super Twin class, this is now eligible. It's going to make a proper track weapon. There's a lot of differences between this and the MT-07. Don't think it's just a naked street bike with a bit of fairing and clip-ons. Nuh-uh. There's a big difference between the frame. It's a stronger, more rigid chassis. They've got KYB upside-down adjustable suspension on the front, different shock at the rear, the geometry's different, the gearing's different, the throttle action is different as well. So it's a whole different bike. Despite that, it still holds those same characteristics and qualities that an MT-07 does. So with the R7, even though you've got two less cylinders, you've got 4 less litres in your tank, that's 13 versus 17. You've got, what, 15 mil higher seat height difference. Actually, there's only 2 kilos difference in the fully ready to go wet weight, 188 versus 190. This obviously spins up much higher. You go, your red line's much higher, 14,500 is your peak power. Whereas this is a bit more like 8,500, 72 brake horsepower, 115 brake horsepower. Actually, this makes more peak torque than that. So anyway, it's going to be punchier at the corners. The R7 won't hold on to the R6 on the main straights, but in the corners, that's where it should excel. All right, so we've got main competitors for the R7. We've probably got RS660 from Aprilia, much more expensive, much more electronics on that bike. It's £10,500, but it's got fully adjustable everything. Whereas the R7, adjustable pretty much nothing. You don't even get traction control, no rider modes, no wheelie control, launch control, nothing of that. You get adjustable front forks. That's about it. Quick shifter is even an option. It is on this bike. It's £135, and I'll tell you more about that in a bit. Yeah, Aprilia RS660, you've got probably the less sporty Kawasaki, the Ninja 650, the CBR 650R, which is 4-cylinder, of course, from Honda. You've probably got the 3-cylinder MV Agusta F3 800 as well, as all about the same price. All right, here we are, bright Blyton Park over in North Lincolnshire. We've got the track to ourselves. A remarkably sunny day considering we're in the middle of November, and we've got these two bikes. How about we do a little comparison test? Let's go. Let's go, Blyton Park. So it might be a bit windy, sorry and all that. Get some heat in the tyres, lap 1. There's about 57 million different layouts of Blyton Park. It's very flat, a bit like Bedford Autodrome, there's little in the way of points of reference. Back 3 gears into this fast left and lots of runoff, thankfully. Right, let's have knee on the floor then, over that bit of concrete, and then chuck in for there. Go, 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 go! 4th, out wide. Run it in fast here, over to the left. Oh, it's lovely, and a beautiful, agile bike. Oh, it skips over, down from 4th to 3rd. That bit, bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. We'll have 2nd, use all the track, cut in tight, run it out a bit, pretty tight there. 2nd to 3rd, 3rd to 4th. With this fast left. Loads of different layouts. They usually have a chicane in there. They usually have a chicane in this back long straight as well. The device completely standard, other than this optional extra quick shifter. We've also fiddled about with the suspension settings on these KYB upside down forks. There's a lot of movement. It was very soft in sort of road settings when we first got on the bike today. But despite the bounces and imperfections of light and park, we've been able to play around with the compression, rebound, preload. So the R6 is still an impressive machine on track, on this short little twisty track here at Blyton. And also it's got the top end speed, so it's got all those revs, loves the revs, loves to be fed the revs, loves it at the top of the rev range, loves the higher speed element, especially down this long straight here. And that's really where the R7 loses out a bit, because you haven't got that punch. You've got more torque in this bike, and you can kind of feel it coming out the twistier corners. It's got an excellent chassis. It really feels a lot lighter. It feels more than 2 kilos of difference for sure. It's very sporty. Don't get me wrong, I think it's still going to be an excellent package for the road. But at £8,200, talk about value for money. It's tremendous. Looks good. It's got the styling. It looks like the R1. It looks like the bikes that have been so successful on track this year for Yamaha and World Superbikes, British Superbikes, and of course they're MotoGP title holders as well. It's ever so impressive, and I don't want to say for a budget bike or because it's only £8,200. It's a great bike despite its price. It holds the line very, very well. We've got to fiddle with the suspension for track use. So if that's relevant for you, then I would certainly encourage that. This bike's got the optional quick shifter. It's only about £135, but I would certainly urge you to invest in that. It's okay. It's a good aftermarket quick shifter, and it's better than doing it yourself. It's not the finest or the most refined system I've ever used, but again, it is only £8,200 or £8,335 by the time you add that in. I think it's going to suck a lot of fuel. I don't know how it's going to work out on the road. It'll be very interesting to see how economical it is on the road. Seating position, as you'd expect. It's not too dramatic. It's not too sporty. It's not as aggressive as an R1 or any of those litre sports bike. There's a bit of room. I'm 6 foot tall, and I didn't feel too cramped on there. The R6 is slightly higher. It feels like a bigger bike, but as I said, it's only 2 kilos of difference. It's a bit strange. This is on S22 Bridgestones. This is on Avons. The Bridgestones are tremendous, great tyre, and ideal for this circuit here. The surface is not exactly, top level World Championship spec surface, so it's a bit more like a road surface. Holds on ever so well. Very, very basic in its operation. Very simple. There's nothing too overwhelming about it. You haven't got to worry about road riding modes or traction control modes or any of those electronics particularly. It's a simple case of get on, turn the throttle, away you go. I was ready to be underwhelmed by it, and I am completely the opposite. I think it's a fantastic package. I'm really impressed. As a race bike, I think it's going to do ever so well in the Super Twins class. As a road bike, I think it looks so great. And on a PCP deal, you're looking at less than £200 a month. So I think it is going to encourage people back onto sportier bikes just because it's got that flexibility with the engine. It's a known quantity in the MT-07. Part of the reason why it is such a popular bike is because the engine is it's a great package. And this has obviously got the looks to go with it. Yeah, very, very smart. Nothing wrong with the R6 at all. Expensive for what it is these days compared to what you can get for £12,000, and of course it's a track-only bike. Both are available to hire through the Yamaha Motor Track Experience at the Bennett's Track Days in 2022, so that's quite handy if you want to come and try it out on track. Yeah, looking forward to having a go on this R7 on the road. Thanks for joining me. I'm sure there might be some questions, comments, thoughts, opinions. Then let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. But thanks again, see you next time. Old man, 41 now, you see.